So many people find it hard to start a conversation with friends and family, not to talk of strangers. But after this video, that wouldn't be a problem anymore. That's my promise. Now, if you're an introvert like me, then you probably have been at an event before, a conference, a wedding ceremony, a work function. Doesn't matter. Where you walk in, look around, and there are people everywhere. Some of them standing alone, some in small groups of two, three, and you thought to yourself, I should go and introduce myself to somebody. And then you don't. You find a reason to check your phone, or you head straight for the food table, or you wait. You wait for someone to come and talk to you first. If that sounds familiar, you are not broken. You are just untrained when it comes to interpersonal relationship. And in this video, we're going to get over the barrier. Quick one, I'm Ajayi Olalekan, a communication educator and speaker, and this is the School of Communication where every lesson is designed to help you speak clearly, connect deeply, and communicate with confidence. So, let us get into it. I want to tell you something about myself that might surprise you. I grew up as an extreme introvert. I mean that literally. I was the kid who was always indoors while other children were mixing, playing. I was inside with my books, my thoughts, and my own company. I am quite comfortable with myself. Starting a conversation with strangers, the idea alone made me uncomfortable. And then life happened. And life has a funny way of putting you exactly where your fears are. Today, the breakthrough is that I have stood in front of a crowd of over 1,000 people. I have anchored wedding ceremonies, trained rooms full of professionals, and walked into rooms full of strangers, and I left with connections. Not because I was born with some gift for it, but because I learned. I deliberately, intentionally unlearned the habit of staying quiet, and I replaced it with a skill. And that is what I want to give you today. But to start with, I like to tell you anything can be learned. There is nothing you're doing today as an adult that you came with from birth. Everything that you do, you have had to learn it. So there is no such thing as I'm a shy person, I don't know how to talk. You learned it as you grew up, and you can unlearn it and then learn the skills that are going to help you thrive in your relationships, in your career, in business, in whatsoever you are doing. And that is what this video is about. So here are 3 things that will help you start a conversation with anyone. And when I say anyone, I mean anyone, including strangers, starting from your very next social situation. All right. Number 1, stop waiting for the perfect thing to say. You've got to really stop waiting for the perfect thing to say. The number 1 reason people do not start conversation is that they are standing there inside their own heads and they are composing the perfect opening line, and while they are composing that, the moment for that connection passes by, and then they wait for the next, and then the next come, the same thing repeats itself. Here is the truth. There is no perfect thing to say. The best opening line is the one that actually comes out of your mouth. Yeah? Like they say, done trumps perfect. It's better to do it than to keep waiting to get it to be perfect. The simplest conversation starter in the world is a genuine observation or remark. Just notice something about where you are, about what is happening around you, about the person that you want to approach. It could be their look, it could be their dress, it could be the way they smell, and say it out loud. For example, you could say, this event is much bigger than I expected. Or, have you tried the food? Because I'm considering trying everything on this tray. Then the person laughs and then a conversation starts. Or you could say, how do you know the host? And then they begin to tell you how they have known the host from childhood. And then a conversation has begun already. None of these examples are clever. None of them is outrightly impressive. But all of them open a door to a conversation. And that is the only job of what we call a conversation starter, to open a door, not to walk through it fully formed. The second thing to do is to be genuinely curious and interested, not just polite. Most people, when they start a conversation, they are not really curious. They are performing curiosity. They ask questions like, how are you? But they are not listening to the answer the person is giving. Or they ask, what do you do? Because it is the thing you're supposed to ask, not because they actually want to know. All right. So, and people can feel the difference. The conversation that goes nowhere is the one where neither person is genuinely interested. You are not interested, you're just asking because you have to ask, and the person is also not interested because you've really not struck any interest in them. In my few years of learning to communicate better, I found that the best way to be an interesting person is to be genuinely interested in people. If all you do is talk about yourself, you are not interested. But if you ask questions about the other person that gets them to talk, they leave the conversation feeling so good about meeting you. So, here is what I think you should try. When someone answers your opening question, find the most interesting word in their answer and ask about that specific word. Assuming they say something like, I am a doctor, but actually I'm thinking of a career change. Most people respond to the doctor part because the work of a doctor looks glamorous. But a curious person responds to the career change and probes further. Oh, why are you thinking of changing your career? That one shift, following the interesting thread instead of the obvious one, will make you one of the most memorable people in the room. It shows you are curious about how they think, what is happening in their life, why they are making such a decision. Because it signals something rare, that you are actually listening to them and you're interested in how they reason. Number three, give them something real about yourself. So here is the balance to number two. A conversation is not an interview. If you spend the whole time asking questions and giving nothing of yourself, the other person will feel interrogated, not connected. So, at some point in the conversation, and it does not have to be early in the conversation, all right? So you don't make this about yourself but about them. Offer something genuine, a real opinion, a brief story, a moment of honesty. Not, I work in finance, but honestly, I fell into it completely by accident. I wanted to be a musician. That small addition, I wanted to be a musician, is what makes you relatable. It gives the other person something real to hold on to, something to respond to, and something to remember you by. That guy who is an accountant who wanted to actually be a musician. Connection is built on the exchange of real things. The more you're willing to offer something genuine, the more the other person will feel safe to do the same thing, to open up to you, and to strike a very deep conversation with you. These three things can make a world of difference when it comes to interpersonal communication. So stop waiting for perfect. Start with simple, genuine observation. Be actually curious. Follow the interesting thread, not the obvious one, and give something real. Let the other person see a person, not a professional summary. So, here is your assignment before the next video. The next time you are in a social situation, even a small one, even a queue at the supermarket, start one conversation you would not normally have started. Just one. Alternatively, next time you are on the street, walk up to a stranger and give a compliment. For example, I walked up to a stranger last week and told him, oh, I like the cologne you're wearing. I like the way you smell. That is all. Because confidence in conversation is not built by reading about it or watching a video like this. It is built by actually doing it, one small moment at a time. I know this from personal experience, all right? And if this lesson helped you, I want you to subscribe to the School of Communication. We go deeper into skills like this every week. The goal is to help you to communicate better and confidently, whether at work or in other social settings where you find yourself. And if you know someone in your life who struggles to walk into a room and own the room, share this video with them. I'm sure they'll be glad that you did that for them. I'll see you in the next class.